Hi, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the, I have to look and see what day it is. This is so sad, folks. The November 13th, 2025 State Advisory Panel for Exceptional Children meeting. I am Jared Sloan with the Office of Special Education and Early Learning, and I will be your facilitator for today's meeting. Welcome to all of our new members. We're going to talk through and introduce you all and ask you to introduce yourselves here in just a few minutes. But before we get started, I'm actually going to turn things over to our Associate Commissioner and State Director of Special Education, Dr. Greta Hilton.
Good morning. Are y'all able to hear me okay online? Perfect. So I'll start by just saying thank you for being here and thank you for taking time to support the work that we do here in the Office of Special Education and Early Learning. But more importantly, thank you for supporting students with disabilities across the Commonwealth. And so that for those of you that are newly appointed, or even for you returning members, we're actually this morning, we're going to do a quick office overview and just give you an idea of what we do here within the office, how we do our work, and how we're structured. So with that, I will turn it back over to Mr. Sloan to take us through roll call.
All righty. Since this is a hybrid meeting, let me just, and then we'll talk more about this in the norms here in just a moment. But what I'm going to ask for you to do for this next section is simply say present virtually or present on site. I think we'll have a present on site of exactly 2 people, but that's okay. We'll work through that. So when I say your name, just say present virtually or present on site. So we will be doing this since this is a hybrid meeting. Any actionable items require an actual verbal vote by each member individually. We'll go over the details of that here in just a moment. But with that, I'm going to start with our roll call. Alexandria Wright.
Present virtually.
Thank you. Allison Amshoff.
Present virtually.
And if I say your name wrong, please let me know. Amber Ham.
Present virtually.
Thank you. Amy Smith. Amy did let me know that she had a slight emergency this morning, just so that you all know, and she won't be with us. Ashley Barlow. Cora McNabb.
Present virtually.
Good to see you, Miss Cora, or hear you. Eileen Hoover. Eileen, I see you're on there. You may not be unmuted. I'll come back. How about that? Emily Fox.
Present virtually.
Thank you. Heather McConnell. Jackie Hawley.
Present virtually.
Thank you, ma'am. Jeffrey Coles. Jenny Ward. Jessica Moore. Jesse, I see you. I don't know if we can hear you or not. We'll come back to Jesse. For some reason, we can't hear you, Jesse. We'll try that again. Tal Curry. And Tal did tell me he wouldn't be here today. Lachina Carruthers.
Present virtually.
Thank you, ma'am. Laura Tipton.
Present on site.
Layla Frazier. Tiffany Clark.
Present virtually.
All right. Zachary Stumbo. And Dr. Greta Hilton.
Present on site.
All right, let's go back. Let's get Eileen. I see she's online. Let's try that again. Eileen Hoover.
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. And you're present virtually. And let's see, Jesse Moore. We see you, Jesse, but we can't hear you if you're talking. Okay, she may be having difficulties there. We can come back to her. Let me just make sure here. 3.
Jennifer Ward, looks like she's virtual as well, but I couldn't hear her when.
Okay, let's try that again. Jenny Ward. Okay, we do not have a quorum at this time based on the roll call. They're unfortunately not responding online. Oh, Jenny just said she's here, so we can take that. Thank you, Jenny. So we're at 10. We have to have one more. So we see Eileen is online. Eileen, let's try this one more time.
I'm present.
All right, good deal. Now we're at quorum. All right, that is great. That makes me happy. Okay. Let me just double check. We have a quorum, so we'll go ahead and move on from that item. So we did send you all a copy of today's agenda. If you're here in the room, you have a paper copy of today's agenda. We've got a couple of really important items that are coming up today, and I just realized I'm doing the wrong slide, but that's okay. SAPEC purpose. So we're going to talk about what the purpose is of the State Advisory Panel for Exceptional Children. The Individuals with Disability Education Act, IDEA, requires that states establish advisory panels to advise and assist the Kentucky Department of Education on special education and related services for children with disabilities. The SAPEC members represent various agencies, individuals with disabilities, parents of children with disabilities, service providers, and administrators. So let's just go really quickly through what the actual SAPEC duties are. And again, this is a federal regulation, 34 CFR 300.169, that outlines the actual requirements for our SAPEC members. So again, this is a federal requirement that we have to have this advisement, and we love to have those advisements from you all. So the advisory panel must advise the state education agency, which is the KDEO seal, of unmet needs within the state in the education of children with disabilities. Comment publicly on any rules or regulations proposed by the state regarding the education of children with disabilities. Advise the SEA, which is KDEO seal, in developing evaluations and reporting on data to the Secretary under Section 618 of the Act. Advise the SEA in developing corrective action plans to address findings identified in the federal monitoring reports under Part B of the Act. And let me finish this before I say this. Advise the SEA in developing and implementing policies relating to the coordination of children with disabilities. So again, a pretty extensive item and responsibility that each of you all have. I know the majority of you all joining us today are brand new members. So we will actually be, today is more of a business meeting and record keeping, kind of getting things set. Next time, we will have someone here to talk about and kind of do an orientation, and we do that annually, on the duties of the members of the State Advisory Panel for Exceptional Children. So that will be at our next meeting that we will do that. So let's just go over some of our meeting norms so that everyone is kind of on the same page. Interpreters, are provided at each SAPEC meeting, and hopefully if you're online, you can see our friends back there helping us out today. We appreciate our friends and our ASL interpreters to provide that access. Members must speak when called on for roll call or any voting. When speaking, I'm sorry, is there a question? Okay. When speaking, please state your name each time so the American Sign Language ASL interpreters can communicate who is speaking to those using interpretive services. And a reminder, stay focused on the topic agenda at hand for the sake of time, be that in regular business or committee meetings. To continue, meeting materials are located in email that I sent you all out and posted in the SAPEC Google Drive, Google folder. Additional feedback from members is provided through the meeting exit slip that'll come at the end of the meeting, obviously. And please have your camera on and mute your microphone when not speaking. Finally, last but not least, and this is for the majority of us online today, when participating online and you wish to ask a question, please click on the raised hand icon and wait to be recognized. That's that lovely hand raise icon that I have up on the screen. So if you do have any questions, just feel free to raise your hand and wait to be recognized, and we'll get that taken care of. All righty. And just for context, so if you're all wondering why I, as the facilitator, am doing the majority of the meeting thus far, it is because at this time we do not have any executive appointees. That's the president, the vice president, or secretary. So just keep in mind that that we are making sure to facilitate that. And as soon as we have a nominee, then for the president, then that person will assume the duties that I am currently taking care of as we speak. So Melody Cooper was supposed to be here to do our membership update, but she did let me know late last evening that there was a conflict during this point in time. So she has asked me to step in and do that. This is apparently the Jared Sloan show for the first half of the meeting, so I apologize for that. I do want to recognize and have, what I'm going to ask you all to do is I'm going to start with, and actually have you all, if you don't mind, each of you come through and introduce yourselves, because everyone essentially is new. We have, I think, only 5 returning panel members at this point in time. So the majority of y'all are new to the panel. So I'm just going to go through the list here. It's going to be in alphabetical order. And I'm going to ask y'all to kind of come on, speak, introduce yourselves. So that means if you start with an A, I'm getting ready to call on you. So that's my old teacher trick, is I always let people know what's coming up next. So we have a brand new member in Alexandria Wright. So Alexandria, if you don't mind, come off mute and introduce yourself to the group.
Hello, I'm Alex, and I work for the Department of Corrections. I've been working for the state for almost 15 years, or 16 years, I apologize.
And would you prefer to be called Alex?
That's fine, I'll go by either.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
I'm writing these down as we go, just so if y'all don't care to let me know that, I would appreciate that. Allison Amshoff.
My name is Allison Amshoff. I am a speech language pathologist. I work with individuals birth through the lifespan, and I am also teaching I'm teaching one class in the graduate school for speech language pathology students. And then in the spring, I will be teaching 2 classes for at U of L for the undergrad speech language pathology students.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Another new member, Amber Ham.
Hi, I'm Amber Ham. I'm sorry, I'm feeling a little sickly today. I apologize if I start coughing. I am the training and outreach coordinator with Kentucky Special Parent Involvement Network, which is the parent training and information center for the state of Kentucky. I've been there for 4 years. And I'm also a parent of one young adult with a disability and a young youth with a disability as well.
All righty, thank you. An additional new member, I'm going to have to figure out different ways to say this now. Amy Smith. Oh, Amy is not with us. My apologies. Let's see. Ashley Barlow, want to make sure she's not online with us. Cora McNabb.
I'm Cora McNabb with the office. I'm the executive director for the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. I've been with the state rehabilitation agency for 20 years. And before that, I was in a nonprofit where we did employment. So I also, on the personal side, have a daughter who is a special education teacher, and I have a granddaughter who has a disability. So I not only have a passion for this in my work life for a long time, but also my personal life. So glad to be here.
Glad to have you back, Ms. Cora. Good to see you. All right. An additional new member, Eileen Hoover.
Hello, I am Eileen Hoover with Kentucky SPIN, the Special Parent Involvement Network that Amber just said. I am the early childhood parent educator, and I have 4 children, 12, 10, 8, and 4, and my 3 boys are all on the autism spectrum. I've got a medically complex kid, so very passionate about this because these are my kids.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. Jackie Holly is a new member as well.
Hello, I'm glad to be here. I'm Jackie Hawley. I'm the superintendent with Fairview Independent. I'm in my 7th year as superintendent. Prior to that, was a director of exceptional children for about 6 years, and then an exceptional child teacher prior to that. And in college, worked with adults with disabilities for 4 years in a SEL program. I'm excited to be here. I was on the advisory on this panel about 12 years ago, so I'm glad to be back and looking forward to working with everyone.
Superintendent Holly, we appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And as of about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, our newest appointee, Jesse Moore. Jesse, are you with us?
I think Jessie was the one having mic trouble earlier. She
Ah.
was here, she's on the video, but I'm pretty sure she couldn't because I was just making sure I took attendance in case somebody needed it. I think she was one that couldn't.
Hang on just 1 second. I'm checking something. Unfortunately, at this time, because Jesse has dropped off, we are no longer at quorum. So I need a motion to suspend the meeting until such time as we resume quorum.
This is
A
Jackie
motion.
Hawley, virtually. I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor by the acclamation of aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so hopefully we'll be able to continue with some business here in just a minute. Hopefully she'll be able to hop back on with us. So what we will do at this point in time is any information we proceed with will be informational only. There cannot be official action taken at this point in time. I'm going to go ahead and continue with the member update because that's not something that requires a motion or anything like that. My apologies that I'm having to pat my head and rub my belly and run the PowerPoint and do a little bit of everything here. So I wasn't able to track to make sure we weren't at quorum. So my apologies for that. Let's see. And let me go over to my next page here. Chena Carruthers.
Hello, Latina Carruthers. Say, did you hear me?
Yes, uh-huh. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about you, Gina, if you don't care. That way
Oh,
folks know.
sure. Okay, I
Yeah.
thought you were just
No,
introducing the
you're
new.
fine. You're fine.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Latina Carruthers, and I am a part of the panel. Originally, I believe it was due to my connection with Department of Juvenile Justice, where I am the Title I administrator there for 30 of our DJJ Title I programs across the state. But I also have 2 children with an IEP, a son who's a sophomore at Franklin County High School, and he's autistic, and a daughter who's dyslexic, and she's an 8th grader at Elkhorn Middle School. That's it. Nice to meet you all that we're here.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks, Gina. Laura Tipton.
Hi, yes, my name's Laura Tipton. I work in state government, but I'm on the panel in my capacity as the parent of a child with a disability.
Very good. Tiffany Clark.
Good morning. I am the administrator on the council. This is, I don't know exactly how many years, a couple of years that I've been part of the council as well. I'm a previous special ed director and special ed teacher from years ago, and this is my 6th year as principal at the New Haven School in Nelson County. So glad to continue to be part of special education as a whole, but definitely on this council as well.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. And last but not least, Dr. Greta Hilton.
Good morning. I'm Greta Hilton, and I serve as Kentucky State Director of Special Education. And I've served in that role for, I guess I'm going into 11 years, and also serve as the Associate Commissioner in the Office of Special Education and Early Learning, and have been in this role as an associate since 2018. Have worked at the department for over 15 years and worked closely and alongside the panel for a number of years, and just want to again express my deep appreciation for the work that you do and the time that you give for students across the Commonwealth.
Okay, so we need a motion to resume the meeting as we have now regained a quorum. So I'm looking for a motion to resume.
I'll make the motion to resume quorum because of quorum.
This is Cora. I second it.
All in favor by the acclamation of aye.
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 All opposed by the same acclamation of nay. My apologies. Any abstentions? I forgot to do that earlier. All right, the ayes have it. We are in resume active meeting status. Yay. So at this time, we have a pretty full panel. So that's the good news for you all. We are pretty full in terms of that. Jenny, are you still on with us? Yeah, I was going to say, are you still having audio problems? Oh, sorry. I can't see her on my screen. So I don't know if you want to type an introduction in the chat, Jenny. and I can read that out however you want to do it. Okay, I imagine she's typing. Probably furiously at this point. Well, let me just say appreciate, oh, there we go. Appreciate each of you all being a part of that. Jenny says she is a special education teacher in Fayette County. This is her 21st year, and she's been on SAPEC for a few years. She's also on the Pre-K for All Advisory Council, and we appreciate Jenny's participation. I see that we want to go back to Jessie as well and ask her to just introduce herself. Again, she was a new member as of 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So, Jessie, if you can introduce yourself. I see you online, Jesse, but maybe you're having some audio problems. If you want to, just type in the chat an introduction, Jesse, so that I can read that out loud to the group and they can be introduced to you. Oh, she apparently got kicked out, and now she's trying to get back in again. Well, we can come back to that. Oh, she's back
Popped up
again.
and-
Yep. Jesse, let's try this one more time. We're doing introductions, and hopefully you can hear us. If you would, just kind of introduce yourself and tell everyone that you're our newest member as of yesterday afternoon. Okay, well, she must be having problems because I'm having to let her back in and out a couple times here. So we'll just move on, and we can always come back later in at the end of the meeting and make sure that she gets an opportunity to introduce herself. We did send out in the email and in the on the Google Drive a copy of the previous official meeting, SAPEC meeting. The last time that SAPEC was official quorum was in April of 2024. So hopefully you all were able to review those items and those minutes. Do we have any questions, changes, or addendums to the prior meeting minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Tiffany Clark, virtually. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Latina Carruthers, I second to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Chena. So it's seconded by Chena. So what we will do here is this will be a roll call vote to approve the minutes of the prior meeting. When I say your name, please respond aye, nay, or abstain. Alex Wright.
Aye.
Allison Amshoff.
Aye.
Amber Ham.
Aye.
Cora McNabb.
Aye.
Eileen Hoover.
Aye.
Emily Fox.
Aye.
Jackie Holly.
Aye.
Jenny Ward. Aye. She says aye in the chat, so let's record that in the minutes. Jesse Moore.
Aye.
There you are. Chena Carruthers.
Aye.
Tiffany Clark.
Aye.
Anyone whose name I did not call.
Aye.
Oh, good, good point. Good point. My apologies, Ms. Tipton. So Ms. Tipton votes aye as well. The ayes have it. The prior meeting minutes are approved as submitted and will be entered into official public record. All right, at this time, we are looking for public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to be recognized for public comment at this time? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to close the public comment section?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Tipton. Ms. Tipton makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second. Tiffany Clark.
And we can do this one by acclamation. So all in favor, respond aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. The public comment period is closed. And hopefully this is the point where I get to stop talking here in just a moment. Just so that you all know, at this point in time, as I said earlier, we do not have any sitting administrative roles for SAPEC. So and just to kind of talk about what the chair's responsibilities are, it is in the bylaws in the SAPEC folder that hopefully you all have gained access to. If for some reason, if you click on the link that I sent you in the email, it will send a notification to me to allow you access to that, and actually to Tracy Sharp to help us facilitate that. To sort of do that so that we're able to approve that for you. So hopefully, if you haven't clicked on that, you can. Each of you will be granted access as members of the panel to that. So the chair obviously conducts the meetings, helps with setting the agenda, with working with members of the panels on items which they want to have discussed within the meeting itself, and obviously brings up any concerns to myself as a facilitator, and then I bring those concerns to the office level to take into consideration. So with that said, I'm going to actually open the floor right now for anyone who would like to express an interest in being the chair of the SAPEC Council or panel. Does anyone maybe want to hop out and say that they're interested in being the chair? Now, if you're a teacher, you know what we used to do when kids wouldn't talk. We'd have our popsicle sticks. Write your name on it. Do we hear any nominations for the chair of the SAPEC?
Okay, I'm gonna go on a limb, I guess. Here we go. So I have absolutely not done this before. I will attempt to do this as long as again, someone can kind of help me along the way in the beginning to make sure I don't screw something up. I'll be willing to help us out here if someone nominates and chooses me to do so.
Anyone else interested?
Also,
What's your
please feel
last-
like you can pipe in if you're interested. By no means does this mean that I am just overly excited about doing this.
It's okay, Tiffany. Whoever is chosen, I'll work with you, and we'll work with you. It's not a problem. Do I hear
What's
nominations?
your last name, Tiffany?
Clark, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Do I hear nominations for the chair of the SAPEC panel?
This is Cora. I'll nominate Tiffany Clark for the chair of the SAPEC panel.
Do we hear a second?
This is Jackie Holly virtually. I will second that.
All right. This is going to be a silly question. Tiffany, do you wish to serve?
Yes, I will serve.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further nominations? Being none, let's call for a roll call vote. Again, you will respond as either aye, nay, or abstain based on your will. So here we go. This is for Tiffany Clark to be the chair of the State Advisory Panel for Exceptional Children. Alex Wright.
Aye.
Allison Amshoff.
Aye.
Amber Ham.
Aye.
Cora McNabb.
Aye.
Eileen Hoover.
Aye.
Emily Fox.
Aye.
Jackie Hawley.
Aye.
Jenny Ward. She says aye in the chat. Jesse Moore.
Aye.
Chena Carruthers.
Aye.
Laura Tipton.
Aye.
Tiffany Clark.
Aye.
Anyone whose name I did not recognize in the roll call? All right. The ayes have it, and congratulations, Tiffany Clark. You have won the prize of being the official chair for the 2025-26 State Advisory Panel for Exceptional Children.
Thank you so much. Super excited.
I'm sure you are. Well, now,
Just give me some grace.
Tiffany, I'm going to leave this up to you. I am happy to help you through the remainder of the meeting, but officially you will take over as the presiding officer for the remainder of the meeting. Congratulations. If you would like for me to help you through that process, I am happy to do that.
That would be great because I am also currently clicking through the folder to try to find some of these things in organization. I want to make sure I'm in the right spot for this too.
Yeah, it's the
I do have-
November 13th, 25 folder under SAPEC 2025.
I am in the correct spot then.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's it. So, and then if you want to just pull up the agenda and then I can kind of guide you throughout the rest, if that's okay with you. Because now we're going to go through the vice chair and presidency, or I'm sorry, secretary nominations. So if you want to handle that, I will allow you to do that.
Okay. Now see, this is where I'm like, I wish I had some scripted component to this. So let's see. We are
Give me just a second and I'll send you something.
fabulous. I'm also going to make sure I close my office door or we're going to be interrupted.
Should be in your email any second.
I'm refreshing. And from here on, I'll make sure I'm also in person. That will absolutely make things a little easier, I think, because I also don't have great service at my school.
No worries.
All right. Instead of holding people up, I'm going to keep refreshing, but let's see if I can do this without.
Tiffany, I can guide you through this if you want.
Okay. I guess at this time we are looking for anyone interested in serving as vice chair.
I can volunteer myself if I'm work in Frankfurt. I'm available to be in person at meetings, so if that's helpful.
So that was Laura Tipton speaking.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Yes.
Anyone
Is
else?
there anyone else?
Thank you.
That is interested or would like to nominate someone else? Would someone like to nominate Ms. Tipton for vice chair.
I will with confidence nominate, this is Emily Fox, virtually nominating Laura Tipton for the vice chair position. Thank you for volunteering, Laura.
This is Cora virtually. I'll second it.
At this time, would we be able to say this all together? Or do we need to go individually?
You have to go individually for these items, Tiffany. So I can do the roll call for you if you prefer.
Yes, please, since I don't have a list in front of me right now. Thank
so,
you.
So we will do, again, the same process, aye, nay, and abstain. Roll call vote beginning for the nomination of Laura Tipton as the vice chair of the State Advisory Panel for Exceptional Children. Alex Wright.
Aye.
Allison Amshoff.
Aye.
Amber Ham.
Aye.
Cora McNabb.
Aye.
Eileen Hoover.
Aye.
Emily Fox.
Aye.
Jackie Holly.
Aye.
Jenny Ward. She says aye online via chat. Jesse Moore.
Aye.
Sheena Carruthers.
Aye.
Laura Tipton.
Aye.
Tiffany Clark.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Congratulations to Laura Tipton for being our new vice chair of the State Advisory Panel for Exceptional Children. And now on to Secretary, Tiffany.
All right. Do we have anyone willing or interested in secretary, in the secretary position?
So I've served in that role. This is Emily Fox virtually. I served in that role last year at the last minute when we needed someone from April. And so I'm happy to do that again. I've actually kind of started a little bit already. So if y'all need me, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you, Emily. Would anyone like to nominate Emily or anyone else interested in secretary?
And I will say exactly what Tiffany did, please, by all means.
Latina Carruthers, I nominate Emily Fox as secretary.
Do I have someone to second?
Amber Ham virtually. I second that.
Ready
All right, at this time, we'll have to do the roll call. Do you mind to do that, Mr. Sloan?
I do not at all.
Thank you.
Again, we'll respond aye, nay, or abstain. So Alex Wright.
Aye.
Allison Amshoff.
Aye.
Amber Ham.
Aye.
Cora McNabb.
Aye.
Eileen Hoover.
Aye.
Emily Fox.
Can I vote on myself? Aye. Yeah.
Either that or abstain. It's up to you.
Oh, okay. Yes, maybe that's better. Abstain.
Yep. Jackie Holly. Jackie Holly.
I said aye. Did you get
Oh,
it?
no, sorry, we missed you.
Sorry.
No worries. Jenny Ward. Says aye online via chat. Jesse Moore.
Aye.
Sheena Carruthers.
Aye.
Laura Tipton.
Aye.
Tiffany Clark.
Aye.
Ms. Tiffany, the ayes have it. We have a new secretary.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for nominating someone or agreeing to help lead at our SAPEC meetings. At this time,
Oh,
if
let's
this is correct,
let's take a break
ahead.
if you don't care. This will be a good point for us to kind of take a quick break before
Okay.
OCL updates, if that's okay.
Works for me.
So do we hear a motion to take a 15-minute break? Is that good? Back at 10:05. Do I hear a motion?
This is Jackie
This is
Holly
Alex.
virtually. I'll make a motion.
I second that motion, Alex virtually.
And we can do this by acclamation, Tiffany.
All right, by acclamation. If you, oh gosh, I forget the words.
If so, all in favor of taking a break
All in
until
favor.
10:05?
All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? We'll come back at 10:05. Thank you all so much. All righty, welcome back. And I'm going to turn the meeting back over to Ms. Clark, who's going to introduce our next speakers. Oh, you're muted.
First mistake. When we reconvene, do we need to say anything to make sure we have a quorum, or because it's information coming up, we don't need to do that after a break?
I've just affirmed the quorum. I checked the online and checked the room, so we're good.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, now I lost my link. There it is. All right, so at this point, we are going to welcome Amy Patterson.
Oh, no, Dr. Greta Hilton. I may have sent you the
Wrong
wrong
one.
document. Hang on. That's okay. It is Dr. Greta Hilton for our OSIL update.
All right.
Okay.
Ready to go?
Yep. Go ahead, Dr. Hilton.
All right, thank you. So I wanted to take just a few minutes, as I said this earlier this morning, to give you an update or really an overview of the Office of Special Education and Early Learning, or as we refer to it, OSIL, and then just take a moment to share some celebrations and then just to explain the structure, who we are and what we do. So this will be a very quick overview, but as we move forward, we can certainly bring staff in, dive a little deeper into the work of each division and move forward. But for today, I thought we'd keep it pretty high level. So on the first slide is just the mission of OSIL, which is to improve educational outcomes for diverse students and early learners through effective support, technical assistance, training, coaching, and guidance. And as part of the office, several years ago, we developed our 8 priorities, which is our North Star priorities. And when we did this, we pulled together some of our stakeholders within our SERTACs, our Special Education Regional Technical Assistance Centers, and also communicated with our Early Childhood Regional Training Centers. And we developed this on the belief that if everything's important, nothing is important. So we identified those 8 North Star priorities that would really drive our work. And when you look at those priorities, you'll see that they range from, and I'll go ahead and read those because I know they're really small, maybe difficult to see on screen, but we believe in stakeholder engagement. We believe that we should bridge preschool to kindergarten. There must be effective instruction as well as effective discipline practices. We believe that there should be access for all students. Parents and families are a key component to the work we do, and we believe that we need to attract, recruit, and retain high-quality staff in our classrooms. We achieve and work toward these priorities with the 3 pillars of what we believe in, and we believe that special education begins with a foundation of compliance, but that is the floor of opportunity. That is not the end-all, be-all, and I stress that everywhere I go, that compliance is very important, but it is the floor. And we believe that every child should have equal access and opportunity, and this together should lead toward improved outcomes and results. That's ultimately what we're working for. The office over time, since we went through the reorganization, I guess in 2018, here at the department, that was the time in which OSIL was actually created. Of course, shortly after that, we went into the worldwide pandemic. So it took us a little while to really develop these priorities and get our legs beneath us, if you will, because we were focused the first couple of years on mitigating the impacts of the pandemic. We have established essentially, we've gone from a very small number of staff to we have around 70 Frankfurt-based staff, as well as staff at the Kentucky School for the Blind and Kentucky School for the Deaf. And that brings me into this org chart that you see in front of you. And again, this is very, very high level, and I won't spend too much time on it, but I do want you to see that at the office level, this is where we focus on policy, data, fiscal, communications. Obviously, our advisory panels, the work around the panels live kind of at the office level and across the office. There's a small number of staff at the office level who focus on these components. But then there are what you see in front of you, there are 5 divisions. I'll explain a little more about that as we go through this. But just to get started, the first one that you see there is the Division of IDA Implementation in Preschool, and that's led by Veronica Sullivan as the director, and Amanda Waldrop is her assistant director. Veronica's here with us in the room. And this is where our guidance and support branch lives, as well as gifted and talented services and extended school services. So all of the guidance and support and resources that you see out there will come out of Veronica's division. Up next, we have the Division of IDA Monitoring and Results, and that's led by Carol Ann Morrison, who's also in the room. And her assistant director is Linda Funke. And this is where it is just what it says it is. It's monitoring and results. This is where a state systemic improvement plan, state performance plan, annual performance report, and you'll hear more about that today, the SPP APR. It lives in DIMR, as well as all of the general supervision oversight with monitoring and IDEA formal complaints. And this is where the individual programming branch exists, and those are the folks that actually monitor within local school districts. And then we have the Division of State Schools that's led by Shannon Sparkman, and her assistant director, is Emma Riley. And they have a small, very small team at the office level, some of which are in Frankfurt part of the time, but the majority of their team are within schools. And this is where our Kentucky School for the Blind and Kentucky School for the Deaf exist. There are over a couple hundred staff in these schools, and they function just like schools in local districts do. They just happen to be part of state government. And then we have the early learning unit that, in this slide actually needs to be updated. It had been led by Dr. Thomas Williams, but Dr. Williams left about 3 weeks ago, for another position, and it's currently being led by Melody Cooper, who is the interim director for the ELU. Andrea Bartholomew is her branch manager. They work very closely with the Early Childhood Regional Training Centers, and this is where the School Readiness Branch lives. And just as an FYI, that position for that director will be posted, and we'll be moving forward with that. And you might notice that we have preschool over here in DIP, and then we have early learning unit. And the reason for that is because when the office was first created, we did have preschool with DIP under Veronica, and then over time preschool grew, and we saw a need to increase the support for preschool within the local districts, and so we created an early learning unit. That's not been formally created through any type of reorganization, but it functions as if it were its own unit. And then you'll see the Transition Education Unit led by Dr. Wheatley, and then he is not able to be with us today, but we do have Dr. Allison Johnson, who is the Assistant Director in that unit. And the beautiful thing about the TEU is that they have worked really hard over the last few years to write a couple of grants. They have our state personnel development grant as well as another grant, and they've brought in about $19 million.
Close to that.
In federal grants focused on post-secondary education supports for students with disabilities. So a lot of federal funds in that division, and that's how we were able to create that group. And again, it's a unit because it hasn't been created as a formal division in a reorganization process. So something I just want to share with you as a celebration, in 2025, we got our 16th consecutive year of a meets requirement from the U.S. Department of Education. This is the highest determination that states can receive. It sounds pretty bland to just say meets requirements, but that is as high as it gets. And so I'm really proud of that, really proud of the work occurring in local school districts, because it's important to note that it is the data from local schools that we submit as part of our SPP APR that gets this determination. We are literally one of a handful of states that has received this honor for this many consecutive years. Actually, I think one of two, maybe three. Three. I think that's up for debate, but we'll talk about that afterwards. But there's a question. We'll not get into all that. There's a question about one. And I'm pretty competitive, so I want to win. But what's important to note about this is that we use data based around students. One of the things that I'll share about this is that we have a really, really high, we have high data. Our data shows that we do very well in the compliance realm, but we do have some opportunities for improvement in results. Our students with disabilities could perform better. I think that's a national concern, and it's something that we look at and examine and work toward every day, and I know local districts do as well. So up next, that leads us right into the state performance plan, annual performance report. And again, like I shared, we will be able to dive more into, the work of each of the divisions as we work forward, but I wanted to give you just a basic overview. But before I turn over the mic and the clicker, do you have any questions or any feedback that you'd like to share? Okay, Chair Clark, I will turn it over to you then.
Thank you. I believe I have the correct next person up. Is it correct with Lauren talking through SPP and APR update?
Yep, that's me.
Thank you.
Good. Yeah, thank you. Good morning. My name is Lauren Thieneman. I work in the Division of IDA Monitoring and Results, and I lead the work around our state performance plan and annual performance report you'll hear it referred to as the SPP APR. And like Greta just referenced, this report is what leads to that state determination score of meets requirements. So today I'm just going to talk briefly, just a small overview of the SPP APR, because I think as you all have future meetings, we'll get more into this. But what is it? So the purpose of the state performance plan, or the SPP, and the annual performance report, the APR, it evaluates and improves a state's performance and how they're serving students with disabilities under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. So the SPP is a state's long-term goals. There's targets that match those goals across 18 different indicators that are related to special education services. And then the annual performance report is an annual update that's provided to the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Special Education programs. So the SPP is a long-term goal. The annual report is how we report on that progress yearly. That's submitted every February 1st. And then within that report, like I said, there are key indicators. Some of them measure compliance, like evaluations and transition planning, and then others monitor results, things like graduation and dropout rates. So the indicators, like I said, there are 18 different indicators, and they're broken up into compliance indicators. For those, the targets are set by the Office of Special Education Programs, or OSEP, and they set those targets at either 0% or 100%. So over there on the left-hand side of the slide, you'll see which indicators fall in that category. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see the results indicators. And these are targets that are set by stakeholder groups. So when we created our most recent SPP, the State Performance Plan in 2020, we met with a group of stakeholders and set targets for these indicators. And the targets will vary depending on what the state's data looks like at that time when you're setting targets. All right, so how do we use this data? So one of the things we do is compliance monitoring. And that data is used to monitor the I'm sorry, I'm seeing a note. Sound, anyone, you all can hear me? Or is the sound off?
It
You all
cut out,
can hear
but you
me?
came
Okay.
back. Yeah.
Okay, I'm good. Okay, I apologize. So like I said, I was saying we do compliance monitoring, and that data is used to monitor the adherence to those IDA requirements across our local school districts statewide. The data is also used to guide any improvement efforts. So it guides any technical assistance that we put out, professional development, and then progress evaluation among educators. We also use it for stakeholder engagement. So like I said, we meet with stakeholders to set meaningful targets and evaluate progress towards improving outcomes. And then it's also used for risk assessment and support, helping the office assess risk and determine monitoring levels to ensure those appropriate student services. You'll see here, these are just a general overview of the results from the most recent SPP APR that we submitted in February of 2025. We will be submitting a new one, obviously this upcoming February, but none of that data is official yet, so that's why you're seeing this a little slightly older data. So Kentucky collected comprehensive data from 175 school districts across the state. Data was gathered from local school districts' submissions, parent and youth surveys, and complaint investigations to provide a holistic review of the state's performance. And it was guided by those North Star priorities that Dr. Hilton went over a little while ago. So analysis and reporting were guided by those 8 priority areas. So some indicators that we are showing in Kentucky a strong performance and progress. We have high graduation rates. So indicator 1 looks at graduation, and it's showing consistently high graduation rates for students with disabilities, reflecting academic achievement. And along with graduation rates, kind of the inverse of that is indicator 2, which looks at dropout rates. Again, reflecting a continued reduction in dropout rates and effective student retention strategies. We also show strong performance in inclusive education. That's indicator 5, and it highlights the high percentage of students with disabilities that are being served in regular classrooms supporting inclusion. And then also post-school engagement. Indicator 14, specifically indicator 14C, shows increased youth engagement in higher education or employment 1 year after their high school exit. So again, this is just kind of a very high-level overview. But if you have more specific questions about specific indicators, feel free to let us know. So what are our next steps? We want to continue to collaborate and gather input from parents, educators, and community members. We also are going to continue to support our local school districts through monitoring and technical assistance. We'd like to enhance our data systems to improve reporting accuracy and help implement required corrective actions effectively. And then continue to focus on those inclusive practices for all students with disabilities to improve student outcomes. Anyone have any questions or comments for me?
Thank you, Lauren. I think next on our list is for state identified measurable results with Veronica Sullivan.
Thank you. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about indicator 17 that Lauren went over when she was covering the SPP APR. And just go a little bit deeper with that and talk about some changes we would like to propose for that. So indicator 17 is the state systemic improvement plan. And what it really is a long-term plan that is designed to engage in broad activities that will bring about systemic change for improvement for students with disabilities. How this came about is each of those indicators that Lauren shared before this change had individual improvement plans for each of those indicators if there needed to be improvement. So the Office of Special Education Programs kind of looked at that and said, we really aren't seeing sustained change for students with disabilities and improvement. So what would happen is in states, there would be some improvement for that specific indicator, but it just wouldn't last. And so what they decided to do is charge states with coming up with broad multi-year plans that would focus on improvements across those indicators. And that is what we call the state identified measurable result. But in regular terms, that just means the goal of the state for improvement for students with disabilities. So currently, this is our goal, or our state identified measurable result. And when we originally created this goal, we brought together a large team of stakeholders, and we looked at our data here in Kentucky and determined that math was an area of need for improvement for students with disabilities. We had multiple conversations about where we would start with that and what our target that we would report in the SPP-APR would be. And we determined that 8th grade was the area that we specifically wanted to target for improvement. And that conversation also included the fact that we can't just start in 8th grade. So if you look at our goal, it talks about providing professional learning and technical assistance and support to both elementary and middle school teachers. So over time, as we examined our data and looked at our improvement system, we realized that there needed to be support around positive behavioral interventions, right? We were working on with teachers on improving their practice and evidence-based practice in mathematics, but our data indicated that we did need to also help some of the districts with behavior. So we added that in with stakeholder feedback. So fast forward to now, again, listening to the field and what the needs are within our districts and our students with disabilities. We would work with districts who would say, I just wish you could do this in reading, because that's a big focus in our district. And then we brought together a team of stakeholders who also worked with districts who thought reading should be added into this. And so what I'm coming to you today with is a proposed change to our state goal. And the highlighted areas, you will see some of the language that we wanted to change. We would continue to do professional learning, technical assistance, and support both in elementary and middle school. But we are wanting to not only continue with PBIS and mathematics, but add to our goal reading as a focus. So I'm going to pause there, and I'm going to ask for any of your thoughts on that change. Because stakeholder engagement is really important. Not only do we want to hear from those that are implementing in the field, but we want to hear from parents and those of you on this panel as well, your thoughts on adding that addition to our goal.
Veronica, there is a question from Amber Ham in chat. For the graduation rate, are we looking at data for the standard or alternative diploma track?
For graduation rate, we look at the regular high school diploma for indicator 1 on our SPP-APR.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, that came in just a minute ago, so I didn't.
And sorry, this was Caroline.
Yep.
Are there any thoughts or comments about the addition of reading to the state identified measurable result?
Was there a reason why it was initially left off, just because it wasn't hitting the needs, or like why it wasn't there to begin with?
Yes, that's a very good question. So when we started this work, as I said, we brought together a very large team of stakeholders, and when we were examining the data, there was a lot of support going on around reading across the state. And we were in our infancy of learning how do we support and grow a system of support for students with disabilities. And we really were worried that if we were focusing on too many areas at the time, we wouldn't be able to truly understand if our work was impacting that improvement, or if it would maybe be another program that was impacting that improvement. So we were also advised by the Office of Special Education programs to focus small, I guess is the best way to put it, and really hone in on that. But over time, as we've gotten better at implementing support systems, we feel that we're at a place where we're ready to expand that beyond. Like I said, we added behavior, and now we're really thinking that adding reading, we're at a place where we can really look at that whole system of support for students with disabilities and still maintain the quality of our support system.
Tiffany Clark, and I do have a question. This may not be the right place to ask this, or maybe there's a place that we can look, because I don't remember some of these things either. But is there a way for us to see, like, what does this look like for a school district? How does this support a school district and the services for students and professional learning within a school building? Is that something that each director identifies locally?
So and there's a whole web page that we have for the State Systemic Improvement Plan. It has lots of resources there, but there is a whole system of support that I can take time to explain probably at a later date. But what it really looks like is we partner with our surtacs, and we provide support and resources to districts through our surtacs. So we support our surtacs. We have what's called a linked teaming structure. So the state supports the region, who supports the district, who at the district office, they support buildings, right? And what we do is we teach them effective practices in how do you implement effectively using research. And so when we started with mathematics, like I explained, but the processes that we teach the districts to utilize can be applied to any content area. And we always explain that from the beginning, but we used math as the vehicle to begin that work, and then developed a lot of resources for districts to use. There's an entire math toolkit that is available online universally now. It doesn't have to be intensively supported. That includes a walkthrough instrument that districts can use so that they can go into the classrooms and see the evidence-based practices in mathematics occurring with their teachers. There are lots of resources on how you implement that. I'm going to go over some of the current resources we have available that are newer. As soon as I finish this conversation, I'm going to share a little bit with you about that. But there are a lot of tools that are available now universally. We originally piloted those, so to speak. We went through usability testing with our districts that engaged in this work to make sure that those tools were strong enough to utilize anywhere in the state, and then we released them. And so those are all available on our website.
So a couple things. Number one, SERTAC is Special Education Regional Technical Assistance Center. We do throw around a lot of acronyms. And we appreciate, we saw the comment online asking for that. So Amber Ham is up next with a raised hand.
Hi, and I might be jumping the ball here with my question. Is there a process or conversation already? Because we know crossover with families working with students at home is only going to support them more as they learn what the school is implementing. So is there a plan in the process or conversation about how to get parents involved in this and giving them technical assistance and teaching on how to support their student in the home with us?
That is a very good question. So when we work with our districts, we do talk with them about the importance of stakeholder engagement, including people in their community, their families, their teachers, and that developing an implementation team that's strong and has those members is really important to moving the work forward. I am going to share some resources with you that we have available online around mathematics that can be utilized by parents. You don't have to be a teacher to use them, and I'll talk in just a minute about those. And our original stakeholder group that I talked about did include Kentucky Spin. They were on that team. And I am in close contact with Rhonda a lot and share resources with her as well. But we're always looking for ways to grow and include our parents and families in this work.
And Rhonda is?
Oh, Rhonda is the director of Kentucky Spin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jesse Moore is next with the raised hand.
Thank you. Going over all of this, is the goal for this improvement plan specifically to continue to expand beyond this proposal as the needs arise, or is this kind of a final plan?
The plan is, it is developed for 5 years. And what we do is we revise that as we go. And we also, every 5 years, reset targets. But it is an ongoing plan. So is there something that you feel we're missing that you would like to suggest we consider?
No, not necessarily. I was
Okay.
just curious because as we saw the need for reading to come in, we added reading, and we're going to add some other things. If the need arises as we work through this, is there room, I guess, for this goal to expand beyond this, or is this kind of like where we're sticking to? But the 5 year, that helped me.
Yeah. So
I
I will
appreciate
say this, once we get stakeholder feedback and we feel confident in this proposal, we will take it to the Office of Special Education Programs, the federal level, and let them know that we are proposing this change. So this may or may not happen. They can determine that we, know that's too much for you to do. We want you to stay focused on mathematics. But we will share data with them. We will have the similar conversation I'm having with all of you about the need, and that we have heard from those that are practicing that this is necessary, and that we feel that we can support both reading, mathematics, and behavior in our work. So the next step for this will be to take that proposal to the federal level, and they will have to approve us adding reading.
Thank you.
All right, any other thoughts on that? Eileen?
Did I raise my hand or no? I couldn't tell.
You did not, but you feel free to speak, Eileen.
Yeah, Eileen, I think I introduced myself. I was curious because I say this as a parent with a kid with behavioral needs, and I talk to a lot of parents with behavioral needs. Do we feel like that what is currently being done, like that we have satiated the need out there already for what is currently on the plate? Because I know there's a lot of other extraneous factors out there, like they have like the new waiver they're trying to make for behavior supports and the pyramid model going out across everywhere, but that's not really implemented yet. So I'm curious, I guess, if we feel like, yep, we've got all these other things already set and now we can add on to it, or is it that these still are something that we're constantly improving, but like, do we feel, I guess, satisfied with where the other goals are to feel like you could add another one on?
So I think that I'm going to just say this, we're never satisfied. We are constantly trying to improve. There is always room for improvement, always. I will say the reason that PBIS is listed here in our goal and why we added PBIS is because it is an evidence-based practice in behavior. So and I am going to share, I promise in just a second, some resources with you and that do include behavior supports. So the answer is no, we are not satisfied. No, we do not feel that there is enough support out there, and that we will continue to look for ways to support educators and families in not only behavior, but in academics and educational success for students with disabilities. Yes, Greta?
So I want to jump in just quickly to expand on that just a little bit. So as we work through this conversation around the SPP APR and the SSIP, I would also like just to have in the back of your mind that, you know, this is essentially our roadmap for these compliance and results indicators, but it's not the end all be all. And so I don't want to leave this conversation thinking that, you know, these 17 indicators are all the work that we do, because they most definitely are not. Because I think you brought up a very good point about, are we satisfied with behavior because that's in our SSIP? You know, and the answer is no. We know there's still a lot of work to be done, particularly in the realm of behavior, because, you know, we look at our data in addition to the SPP APR data. We look at, you know, anecdotal data, we look at, you know, our official data, the data that we submit as part of our federal reporting, and then Veronica's team, they also keep a call log, you know, from parents and school districts, and we look at that, and they develop guidance and support based on that in addition to the SPP APR. So I just wanted to plug that in there, because we're spending a lot of time today talking about some of these, the more framed types of indicators and the support that we do, but there's so much more to this office. So I just didn't want you to walk away thinking that everything ends and begins with those 17 indicators. Sorry.
So anyone have anything else to add? I appreciate the commentary, and I appreciate any feedback that you provide us. If you do think of something else that you want to suggest or comment on, you know, feel free to submit that to Jared or send it to me. I'm going to share my contact information when I'm finished here, but I do appreciate your input. All right, so I just wanted to share just a few of our newer resources with you, so you do some of the universal supports that we are providing that not only align with our goals, but with some improvements we want to make for students with disabilities and supporting educators. Like Greta shared, we do keep a lot of data. We analyze that data, trying to look for where there are gaps and how we can do a better job supporting both parents, families, and educators. So this is a series that we have introduced, and it's short videos around effective classroom strategies for students with disabilities. It focuses in the area of behavior. There are examples, there are strategies that an educator can use. They're video-based, so they're quick videos that can be watched and accessed for special education teachers anytime they want to. They're available. We also have, this is what I was talking about that would support parents and families working with their children. We have a video series around math manipulatives, and we also give tips on how to utilize everyday household items. And the consultant that provides this video demonstrates how you use the manipulatives and with different math strategies. And the videos are very short. They're 10 minutes or less. We heard from the field, they need to be quick. We don't have lots of time, and we're doing a lot of modeling and the how. I think we are resource rich as far as people can find resources available. What we're really hearing and seeing is that they need support in how you implement those resources. So that's been the focus of our new series. We also have another math series that the math strategies that we use within the state systemic improvement plan work. This is how we model those strategies. So we have a lot of resources that are available that people can access, but again, we're trying to fill that gap of how. And you'll notice, I don't know if you can see it online, but there are avatar students there. So we have partnered with the University of Kentucky, and they have a program where we can actually simulate a classroom environment. So the strategy is being modeled with avatar students who will ask questions. We even have built into our scripts some distractions, and so especially newer teachers may learn how to actually handle some of those distractions as well as the math strategies. And these videos are around 5 minutes or less. And these are all available on our website. So the final thing I want to share with you, we have a Kaleidoscope project for teachers, which is a community-based cohort, where a community of practice, cohort where teachers come together and learn about specially designed instruction in math, literacy, and behavior. It's a 5-part series that they sign up for, and at the end, they will receive a classroom kit that they can take back with manipulatives for behavior, literacy, and mathematics. We also teach them how to utilize those tools in this cohort. We will be opening up, we're in the middle of cohort 2 right now, and it's been very successful. We've heard really good feedback from those that participate. We will be opening up sign up for cohort 3 for teachers at the Kentucky CEC conference that's happening in about 2 weeks. Okay, yeah, it's pretty soon. In about 2 weeks. So we are hoping to get a lot of teachers that are interested in this there. So that is all of the things I'm sharing with you. They align with that state systemic improvement plan, but they're also based on data that we have analyzed and what the needs are across the state. Any questions about the resources? Okay, that's just my contact information and my assistant director, Amanda Waldrop's contact information. If you have any questions about any of the resources I shared or any of the information I shared about our state systemic improvement plan goals, just feel free to reach out. Okay.
Thank you, Veronica. Our next presenter is Jason Wheatley with the State Personnel Development Grant and Kentucky Transition 360 for educators.
Tiffany, unfortunately, Jason had a little minor family emergency this morning, and Allison Johnson is pinch hitting for him today.
And I remember you saying that now earlier.
okay.
I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Good morning. It's all good. I was going to make a joke because he's a foot taller than me and we look nothing alike. But that's all good. So thank you for having me. I am going to talk a little bit about our State Personnel Development Grant, also known as KY Transition 360 for educators. The SPDIG, as it is sometimes called, is really focused on transition programming and building sustainable systems of support. And what we mean in this context is supporting students with disabilities in transitioning into post-school life, so becoming happy adults in our communities successfully, whatever that means for them. We are in the 3rd year of this grant. We've just started the 3rd year. It is a 5-year grant, and we've worked really hard to ensure that everything we do in KY Transition 360 for educators is connected and really closely aligned with existing initiatives like United We Learn, which is the large initiative for all of Kentucky education that's really focused on creating vibrant student experiences, encouraging innovation, and strengthening collaboration with our communities. And so we do all of that in this grant program, but we align it with, again, that post-secondary transition. So we're really looking at how do we help students have the experiences they need to have in school so that they can then go have successful adult lives, whatever success looks like for them. We're doing it in innovative ways, and then a really major part of what I'm going to talk about here in just a minute is really collaborating with our communities and with other agencies who are doing similar work. So education does this work, but there's also lots of community agencies like vocational rehabilitation, like our Centers for Independent Living, like KY Spin, who do some of this work also. And so we have really focused on collaborating with those agencies and then helping our personnel, because the personnel in the State Personnel Development Grant is actually teachers and educators in our public schools. So helping them figure out how to collaborate with these other folks as well. So the goal for our entire grant program is really to increase the quality of transition programming across the state for all of our special education students in these 5 priority areas. And these 5 priority areas are aligned with research and evidence put out by the National Technical Assistance Center on Transition, the collaborative, also sometimes called NTAC-C. It's a very long name. And so our 5 priority areas really are looking at policy, which includes things like diplomas and programming policies at schools and at the state level. Collaborative systems, which includes those interagency collaborations that I talked about, but also partnering with families and parents. Transition planning, which includes compliance, part of the IEP, but also just do students have reasonable goals and ideas on how they're going to get there. Career development, which again is a lot of career technical education, but also this idea of helping students see beyond just, I can be a doctor because that's what I see, or I can be a bagger at the grocery store because that's what I see, but what other kinds of careers exist, particularly in our ever-changing, technologically developing world. And then student skills, and those encompass lots of things, but it's those direct skills that are not necessarily academic, but those things that students need to be able to do in order to be successful transitioning to adulthood. So this is things like, how do I do a job interview? But also, how do I navigate transportation? Or how do I navigate a medical system so I can get my meds appropriately? All of those things that are just like adulting skills, in addition to academics that are necessary. So our goals are on all of those priority areas. And what we've done is we have rolled out a professional learning program for educators. And I say educators very intentionally. It is in our title. This is not just for special education teachers. It's not even just for teachers. As of last month, we have enrolled 3 total cohorts. We're about to enroll a 4th. We have 424 participants in 74 districts and area technology centers. So our area technology centers are state-run CTE, Career Technical Education schools. There's 50 of them. So we are not quite at half of our districts and ATCs, but close. We have 10 plus role groups represented, and we have folks from preschool all the way through grade 14, because one of the pieces that we really focus on is that transition to adulthood cannot start in high school, because if we start in high school, we've started too late. And I know this is really tiny, but this is a breakdown of the role groups. So I said this isn't only special education teachers, because it's very much not. Because teachers and special education teachers cannot be the only people talking about transition for students. Most of our students in the state, when you look at our data, most of our special education students in the state are in general education classes the majority of the time. So when we look at who is participating in our program, again, we have about a third, the biggest section there is our special education teachers. So about a third of our participants are special education teachers. And the rest of that is divided up into regular education teachers, career technical education teachers, some job coaches, district level administrators. Some of those are special education. We have some directors of special education, but we also just have other regular education administrators at the district level. We have school counselors, we have paraprofessionals, other school level administrators, friskies, so that's the, someone's gonna have to help me. Family resource youth
Service Center.
Service center. I always screw up that.
Yeah,
Family Resource Youth Service Center. So those are in a lot of schools, and so we have some of the folks who run those also participating in our program. There is an other category, which is just folks who didn't neatly fit into one of those, but we have things like occupational therapists, library media specialists, preschool teachers, gifted and talented coordinators. So really, it runs the gamut. And just a reminder, because this is one of, I think, the pieces that we are proudest of, this program is focused on students with disability, but only about a third of our participants are actually teachers of specifically special education. So we have lots of other buy-in from other role groups. So this is, again, it's professional learning, and I'm mostly going to be talking about Tier 1. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but this is a participant we had, Kelly Heichman, out of Paul Blazer High School in Ashland Independent Schools, so northeastern Kentucky, talking about her experience, again, in our Tier 1 program. I'll explain what that is in a moment. I'm not going to read all of it, but I'll give you just a minute so that you can read it, because I think it speaks a lot to what we are trying to accomplish and are accomplishing with this program. So again, she talks about integrating new strategies and resources. I'm going to talk in just a moment about what specifically some of those are, but they're all evidence-based, research-based, high quality, associated with improved outcomes after high school for our students with disabilities. So we're really focusing on getting individuals in our school districts and in our school buildings the skills they need so that we can improve outcomes for our students. So I mentioned it is a 3-tiered model, and I talked about different cohorts and such. This is what it looks like. So we have our foundational learning is tier 1. I'm going to go into more detail in a minute, but that's an online asynchronous opportunity that is really about making sure all of our participants, all of our educators across the state have the same understanding of what high quality transition education programming for students with disabilities looks like. In tier 2, that's a bit more involved. It is about implementation. So they take all of that learning that they did in tier 1, and then we work with them very specifically around action planning and then with some sustained coaching in their buildings so that they can implement in their individual practice what they learned in tier 1. Tier 3, we actually have not yet started. It will be rolled out this summer. And that involves communities of practice. So tier 1 is all about that foundational learning. Tier 2 is about implementing what they have done themselves. And tier 3 is about expanding the capacity in our local districts for them to share that knowledge with other people. We recognize that this is a grant-funded program, and although I have a number of staff, we can't actually teach every single educator in the state how to do this. So the goal of this program is to really get a core group of folks that is continually expanding, that have that knowledge, and then also give them the skills to teach others that knowledge. This picture is actually from our Tier 2 Summer Institute that we held over the summer. It is talking about, it's during a session that we gave on data, looking specifically to circle us all the way back to Lauren's presentation, Indicator 14, which is our Youth 1 Year Out post-school data, and we actually had a couple of national experts come from NTAC, who I mentioned a little while ago, come help us really unpack Kentucky state data, but also the districts for the folks who were there, unpack their own data so that they could see what their students are doing and we could make really relevant plans. So this is just a brief overview of what Tier 1 looks like. So again, it's online, it's asynchronous, there's 26 self-paced modules, it's about 30 hours of interactive learning. Typically a cohort will have 6 to 8 months to complete that. We spent a very long time with a lot of stakeholders, with a lot of experts, really ensuring that we were doing high quality online learning that was meeting adult learning strategies. So it's informative, but also engaging and interesting. We do have applications, lessons, quizzes. It's really, again, focused on building that individual capacity, and this is what high-quality transition programming looks like. Tier 2 is our implementation level. Again, they have that Summer Institute where they come for a couple of days with us and write some action plans for what they're going to implement in their actual school buildings, districts, contexts. And then they receive ongoing coaching from our coaches throughout the next school year on implementing those plans. So it's really on-demand, personalized. We're meeting educators where they are because we know that the context across the state looks very different, right? So if you're a teacher in JCPS or Fayette County, it looks very different from a JCPS in like JCPS, from a teacher in, say, Bell County or one of the other really small districts elsewhere. So it's really thinking about looking at the context of where these teachers and students are and helping them figure out what works for them. And again, that Tier 3 community of practice level will be rolling out this summer. And the goal there is to strengthen that leadership capacity and build collaborative networks so that the work continues long past the advent of this grant. And this is just a really short overview. Again, we've only completed 2 cohorts. We have 2 cohorts ongoing right now. We have 486 participants, Tier 1 and Tier 2. 98% of the folks who have taken the webinars related to that said it was useful and relevant to their work. All of the districts in our Tier 2 have already made measurable progress on executing their action plans that they made over this summer. Folks really like it. They say that it's really helpful. So we're hoping that we will be able to not hoping, we are continuing to enroll new applicants as space becomes available. We see, in terms of outcomes, the adults. We don't see outcomes for students yet because that takes time because of post-school outcomes. It's a whole year after they graduate. But for adults, we see adults both reporting in qualitative data, but also in our quantitative data, because we're measuring it, that they are increasing their knowledge and their capacity around these evidence-based practices related to transition and around their knowledge of the laws and regulations related to transition. We're seeing improved data-driven decision-making, all of those things that we want. But perhaps most importantly, the educators report that they are much more confident and feel much more able to go forward and do this work the way that it should be done. That was a very quick overview, but any questions?
Thank you, Allison. Next, we have Melody Cooper, who will be presenting around preschool outcomes. She is the interim preschool unit administrator.
Yes. Hi, good morning, everybody. Okay, this is weird because I can't see a light or anything on. Is this on?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. You're good.
Okay, good morning. I'm glad to be here with you. And I also have Andrea Bartholomew with me. She's the branch manager in our school readiness branch. And we're just going to talk, we're kind of going to go off script with our slides with the vibe that's going on here this morning, but because we just want to talk with you very briefly about the federal data that's collected around preschool. There's all kinds of requirements around the data that we have to submit, but it really, the one that we're going to bring to you today and just kind of give you an overview of is indicator 7. And while that's required data, it really wraps up. I mean, it's kind of the heart of preschool, of what the work is all about. It's about improved outcomes for students ages 3 to 5 with IEPs, around improved outcomes in the areas of social and emotional skills, knowledge and skills, and then using those appropriate behaviors when they need them. And so Andrea is going to walk you through kind of how that process works when the teachers are collecting that data and preparing it for reporting, and then, how they might use that as they're serving preschool students ages 3 to 5 with IEPs. I went backwards. There we go.
Thanks, Melody. Good morning, everyone. I'm Andrea. It's nice to see you all virtually. So as Melody was talking, indicator 7 is preschool outcome data. Kentucky provides an inclusive preschool program where we have students with and without disabilities. Students are eligible for preschool 3 and 4-year-olds with an identified developmental delay or disability, and then 4-year-olds at a certain income level. So while all of our children learn together, this reporting is only required for our students with an IEP. However, we collect it on all of our students. So our teachers are able to look at this information for all the students in their classroom and to see where there are maybe gaps in their teaching. Maybe there's a place where they can boost some professional development of their own. So how this process works is the COS, Child Outcome Summary, is a form and a formula that is used across the country in preschool programs. There's maybe 2 or 3 states that do not use the COS form any longer, but we have the form. It looks at the child in a holistic manner. You use an assessment that has to be reliable, it has to be valid, there has to be a continuous assessment. Then you get input from the parent or the family, from related service providers, the teacher, the paraprofessionals, anyone who has a vested interest in this child's growth and development gets to come and be part of the team that talks about the progress they're making. So Melody was speaking about the outcomes. There's the social, emotional, knowledge and skills, and the adaptive skills. So they look through each of those areas and say, okay, how is this student progressing through our curriculum? Here's what their continuous assessment says, but here's what the teacher says. Here's what mom says is happening at home, and really looks at the whole child picture to make those decisions on a 1 through 7 scale for each of those 3 so that we can see progress. we require that they use the COS form. They can use any continuous assessment they would like. That used to be different back in the day. We changed that, so now they can use any continuous assessment that they would like, and districts can, and they can form those teams. They do it at the entry of the preschool program, which could be a 3-year-old coming from the KEYS program, and then they do it at the exit of the preschool program, which is when a child would move on to kindergarten. So we have a plethora of data to look at the outcomes of our preschool kids to see how they are progressing through the curriculum. And teachers and districts are really starting to use this data for both students with disability and without to see how to change their teaching practices. They're looking at, okay, we focus a lot on social emotional skills. We've got that covered. Maybe now we need to start on some of these early numeracy and early literacy skills. Maybe we need to worry about, this classroom in a different way because maybe they have those social emotional skills or still struggling with those social emotional skills. So it really provides us with a lot of great data as a state, but also within our districts to provide that.
Okay. And as I said, we were kind of going off script from our slides a little bit and decided to talk a little bit more generally just about the impact of the data on practice. So I think that wraps us up for what we wanted to bring you. Andrea, did you have anything final to add?
I do not. Thank
Any
you for the time.
questions? All right.
Okay, if we don't have any other questions, we'll move on. Next on the agenda is to discuss our meeting schedule. So what I do know is that we must meet at least 4 times a year. And aside from that, I think it's open for discussion on how we want to identify when we would like to meet. I'm going to let Jared maybe pipe in a little bit on some things historically or how we might start thinking through that. I know in years past, we've also scheduled meetings maybe around, and I'm not going to get this right because I've been out of it for so long, but it's usually the special ed conference, I think, that was held in Louisville. I know at one point we would schedule meetings around that. We've kind of moved away from that too. So Jared, is there any input that you can give that I might not remember?
No, thank you, Tiffany. A few things kind of going with historically how SAPEC is scheduled is it has been January, April, July, and October as the months for the meetings. And again, it's changed a little bit throughout the year depending on the will of the panel. If we went 3 months out from right now, that would put that last meeting right in the middle of testing and the end of school. So that would be one of the cautionary tales that I would give you all to considering doing 3 months out from today or 3 months out from what have you. As you all know, if your kids are in school, if you're a school administrator, if you have anything to do with school, which the majority of you all do, then it's a bit difficult to do anything in those weeks in May. The issue we also ran into in April is it would always hit inevitably in the middle of spring break or fall break if we did them in October. So there's always going to be conflicts. There was until probably, I think the last time that we met at KYCEC, which by the way, starts next Sunday and goes through Tuesday. That's the week of Thanksgiving and has been infinitum. So we did used to do our CEC meetings, or sorry, our SAPEC meetings during CEC on site. That's something that the panel has done in the past. Unfortunately, we did not meet a quorum the last time that we met at CEC. So I think at that point forward, the other thing to kind of consider is hybrid, in person or virtual. In the form that I sent out, a lot of you all expressed an interest in the hybrid format. And there's been a tradition with the council or at the panel, though, to do these in person. So just to keep that in mind, and I'm not trying to sway you all one way or the other. I'm just trying to paint the picture, if you will. So obviously, you are free to throw out any thoughts you might have.
Wait time is always difficult, like silence, but it's even more difficult when it's hybrid. It makes the time feel so much longer. Does anybody have an opinion one way or another? Maybe we start with that. Or months that might make more sense.
And these are by the way, these dates are typically set at that last meeting of the year. So we're actually 2 behind right now. So we would be actually setting for the remaining 2 meetings for the remainder of the year. And then the last meeting of the year is when we look at 26, 27.
And when you say remainder of the year, you mean school year?
I mean the school year. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that, Melody. I'm sorry. I'm still a teacher and a principal somewhere.
No, that makes sense because I was not thinking that way. I was thinking that like January to December was the year.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
okay, so we need 2 before July 1, essentially, correct?
Yeah, and that's typically what the panel has done. And again, there's nothing to say that that has to be done. I don't even think it's in bylaws that says, I know we've got another panel or council that it actually says when they set them. I don't think for you guys, it actually says that in your bylaws. But traditionally, it's been that last meeting of the year when it's been done.
So maybe we start with that. Do we have an opinion one way or another? Do we want to look at just setting 2 dates between now and July 1? Or do we want to look at January through December?
I don't have a preference for either.
This is Jackie Holly virtually. So can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we would have to schedule 1 meeting right now because it would have to be by vote. Is that correct?
Yes, at a minimum, I would recommend you schedule the next 2 if possible. But yes, we do have to schedule at a minimum of 1 additional meeting.
Okay, what I'm wondering is if could we schedule 1 today and then have, or 2, however you want to do that, and then some type of survey or Google form document where we could then have input that way and then get to at least an idea to present to the group as an option or options.
That's doable. I mean, it's whatever the will of the panel is.
I mean, I understand scheduling 1 is complicated because then if there's not a quorum, you don't have the second one said.
Correct.
And
David,
then that creates a situation where you are then having another meeting without it being decided in this meeting.
yeah. David Wickersham has his hand up.
Oh, I forgot to
Hey,
raise
good
my
morning.
hand.
This
My
is-
apologies. I'm new.
No worries.
My apologies.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. This is David Wickersham. Yeah, there's not any problem with taking what amounts to a poll just regarding availability. The one thing that you cannot do is you cannot take any kind of vote outside the context of the meeting. So you could collect information about availability. You just couldn't act on whatever the winning dates were in between the meetings that you got. So no problem with essentially a survey sort of thing. You just could not act upon that to establish any future meeting.
Thanks, David.
Okay, thank you.
Alex Wright has a hand up.
I was just going to say the Department of Corrections is year round, so I have no issues with any type of meeting, whichever you all decide to do.
Amber has her hand up.
Hi, Amber Ham Virtual. My question, I also don't see an issue with, we are year round as well. Will it need to be decided or do we need to vote as far as a virtual option going into the dates or having it hybrid?
Yeah.
Just to allow
Yes.
for folks.
Yeah, Amber, and I didn't mean to answer for our chair, but
Look, I don't know very much, but if I knew the answer, then I'm like, oh, I should probably respond right here. So no big deal. So it sounds like at this point, we are kind of committing to setting 2 dates that we need to set between now and July 1. One of the things I was going to ask, just because I think this was a conversation a couple of years ago too, with like new legislation and those kinds of things. I know we've met if there were things that we need to discuss during that time. I also, I'm going to be honest, I don't know much about that. So if somebody else knows more about that and you feel like it's important in this identifying the 2 times before then, please feel free to either correct me or share your expertise.
I mean, I can speak up, just as the policy advisor in this office as well, that, yeah, the session will be going on January through April. And so if if there are updates that you want in the middle of that or anything like that, maybe, that would probably be more of like a mid to late February type of thing. Things just start getting moving in January. So, depending on what kind of actions you would want to take around anything that you were hearing, I would think maybe something like that, into February, early March, possibly.
And then this is Laura Tipton, in person, on site. The session will end, I think it's mid-April so if we wanted to know sort of what had passed, but maybe wasn't even in effect yet, we would want to schedule a meeting after that.
see, we had a comment online. Give me just a second. My apologies. I was trying to get a date for something else. Jen Ward says late January as opposed to the beginning would traditionally be better for school-based members. Mid-April to late April, avoid spring breaks and is before May testing.
Taking kind of some of those things into consideration too. Again, also thinking about during general session and then then having a conversation about what has passed or what those impacts might be, and avoiding testing and spring breaks. It would not be maybe consistent with the amount of months in between, but we could do an early March, and then an early June. I also am in a district that is typically out end of May, so I don't know if that impacts others if it was an early June meeting.
This is Emily Fox virtually. I don't know that we have the data available quickly, but I know that there were I think 2 or 3 consecutive meetings where we didn't meet quorum. I'd be interested to know, were those summer meetings? Like, has that historically been a low attended meeting? I work year round, but I'm sure summer is just hard for a lot of folks with kiddos at home and things like that. So I'm just wondering historically what have been our most attended meetings.
This is Jared Sloan. Honestly, it's unfortunately we haven't met quorum in quite a while, so it really hasn't been any sort of pattern. The summer one does seem to be the one that is the most difficult for folks to attend, and that's typically been that's the reason they moved it back a couple years ago. I think they moved it into June, and it's sort of been different times of the year, so it really depends on the context of it.
I will add also, this is Melody in person, Melody Cooper, that June 3rd and 4th are the Kentucky Board of Education meeting dates. So just wanted to, that we wouldn't be able to meet during that time.
I'm in.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any questions? Do we want to go, does someone want to make a motion for specific dates? Does someone want to make a motion for March and June, knowing like beginning of those months without being June 3rd? I was going to try to pull up a calendar as well. Let's see.
So let me just say this to you all. March 4th is the Kentucky Board of Education. March 5th is the Principal Advisory Council. We could not schedule on those days.
Which would also be similar to the June dates. So if we moved it to maybe the week after, that's what I was going to kind of look at maybe for dates, unless someone is opposed to that. So if I was looking at the week after, I think the Kentucky board, I think was the date that you all said, June 3rd and 4th. So if we looked at the week of June 8th,
Just a second. I've got to check 3 different calendars
Okay.
here.
No, you're fine.
There's nothing on the KDE master calendar on the 8th.
Okay. And then if we did something similar and we did the second week of March, I believe that would be the week of March 9th.
The only thing we have listed on that week in the master calendar for the department is March 12th, which it's not an OCL meeting, but we, for streaming purposes for our friends who are helping us with the meeting, that could be a little bit of a conflict, but there are 2 of them, so.
Okay. Then let's see, do we want to continue with those weeks and look at a day of the week? I'm going to toss out a day, and then if people start saying like no to this, then we'll go from there. Wednesdays. So that would be, let's see, March the 11th, Wednesday, March the 11th.
This is Amber virtually. Are we looking at the same time, that 9 to 12 time?
I think typically that's the time. Sometimes meetings could last longer depending, I think, on what is on the agenda. I do think too, with time changes and things throughout the state, depending on where people are traveling from, that's kind of why it's also been 9 o'clock and not earlier, if I am incorrect.
Typically we do 9 to 2 or 10 to 2, depending upon the situation. This next meeting, we will have someone to provide the panel with a basics of working with the panel, working on the panel. And he usually takes, about 2 hours, I feel, to do that presentation?
Thanks.
Yeah. I think about 2.5 hours to do that presentation.
Just as an FYI, if we're looking at that week of March, if we're going to bring in our partners to assist with that, that week is National CEC, so they may already be committed that week. So we might have to push that back to June if the panel goes with that week in March. So just an FYI.
Okay. As they say where I'm from, it's like herding cats. So
Yeah, that's what I was going to, my next question was going to be, okay, given all the information that we've had at this point, anyone else have suggestions or anything different they would like to discuss as far as dates, times, when we might meet?
Hi, this is Jackie Holly virtually. I raised my hand a little while back, but no one
Sorry.
called on me. So I'm speaking up. Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. It's my first meeting. I think June 8th may be complicated for some districts just because that there is the possibility that school could be in session. That could be around graduation time. I think maybe towards the end of that week of June 8th would be better than the beginning of the week. And then what if we met that week after that national CEC conference in March and waited until that next week? Would that help? Maybe towards the middle to end of the week in case people are out of state at that conference so that they're back by then.
I think the only thing with that is when did they say legislative session ends? Like if we were going to meet and he felt that we needed to do something before that. I also don't want to rush that conversation. Just because I feel like a couple of years ago, there were some things that required or not required action, but
I lost my connection, so I was out of the meeting for quite some time. So that may have been discussed while I was out. So my apologies on that.
No problem at all.
I can make, as of now, any date you pick in March and June work.
So that it would actually be June the 10th, I think, if we kept it with a Wednesday. So it would be March 11th and then June 10th, still knowing that we may have to just do the June meeting with, I'm sorry, I don't remember the people's names you all said usually present.
It's usually, we have a technical assistance provider in TASE that typically does that. Let's see, someone just put a comment that they have an event on 3/11. Let me see who that was. Amber Ham says she has a KY Spin event on 3/11/26.
So how many, so this is my next question, just because again, we've done this a lot too with quorums. How many people are on the panel altogether?
Well, right now, after a new appointment yesterday, quorum is 11 members, voting members, and that does not include Dr. Hilton.
Okay, and then how many, so we have to have 11 to meet
Correct.
quorum. So how many was it total? Sorry.
It's 20, I think, voting members who are appointed at this point in time.
Okay, so essentially 9 people not present today. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. So I think kind of keeping those things in mind, not that I want to waste anyone's time. If we have a hard time meeting quorum, but I do think with 20 people, and I know we've said this in the past too, we would expect that we would be quorum with 20 people on the panel. But I do know that if we get into kind of nitty gritty on who and what in events, and I'm super guilty of that too, then we have a really hard time nailing down dates. So I will stop speaking for a few minutes and see if someone has other date suggestions or if someone wants to make a motion.
Would it be possible, sorry, this is Emily Fox virtually, would it be possible to set those dates March 11th from 9 until historically 2, but knowing that sometimes we end as early as noon, and March 10th from 9 again until historically 2, but maybe earlier release, and then a follow-up. This is a lot to put in motion. So can we set those 2 dates and then follow up with I think you did it before, Jared, like a poll or a Google form just to say, hey, are we going to be able to meet this or do we need to look at another date? But at least so that we can move on for today, make a motion to set for these 2 dates with the expectation that we're going to evaluate or get an RSVP, I guess, of sorts.
Yeah, and I will always do that, just FYI. I will always send out a poll asking for intent to attend at least a month out.
And I would even say as a mom with 3 different schedules, and I'm sure my stuff is minor compared to everyone else's, maybe even earlier than that. Or at least right now, so that we can get those dates on the calendar. So I guess, Tiffany, I'm Emily Fox making a motion that we set the dates for March 11th and June 10th.
Jacqueline Holly virtually, seconding that motion for March 11th and June 10th.
Okay, and Jared, do we need to do roll call to vote for this, or can we?
You can do this one via acclamation.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
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 And we do have one chat from Jennifer.
Thank you.
All opposed?
Somebody's hand.
Motion passes.
My apologies, Amber Ham's hand is raised.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. I just wanted to clarify to make sure, because I know with events and things like that, and maybe being able to come for a short period, is it something I need to do to make a motion to request that it is a hybrid meeting?
I think we can do that separate is that correct, Jared? So that we could either pass that motion on those dates and then discuss separately hybrid, or does that need to be together?
We really need to set how those are occurring.
Okay. All right, so let's back up just a little bit. Discussion on virtual, hybrid or all in person.
This is Lachina Carruthers, a virtual, and I suggest that they remain hybrid.
Alex Wright has her hand raised.
I was gonna say the same thing about hybrid, but those are on Wednesdays, both of those dates, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I'll be in Frankfurt anyway, so I mean, either way.
I do think that it was more difficult if we said all in person to meet quorum, but we've also not met quorum with a hybrid a lot as well. I'm typically the person that says in person. However, here I am virtual because it would have made the rest of my day nearly impossible. So
Jackie Holly has her hand raised.
So there could be a motion that says that it's in person with the option to also be hybrid, correct?
Well, yeah, hybrid is a mix of in-person and virtual.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I see what you're saying.
No worries.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we have the meeting on March 11th and June 10th, hybrid. And that motion worded the way it needs to be worded.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
yes, you did great.
So it's virtually on second that.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Tiffany, I missed who seconded that one. Sorry, this is Emily Fox. I missed who seconded that motion. Jackie Holly made the motion. Who seconded?
Right.
Alex, right?
Thanks, Alex.
I'm sorry. That was the only job I didn't want was secretary, so I need to really be conscientious of that. Excuse me, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Also, Jennifer Ward was by text. Aye. Motion passes for our schedule. I believe, I announced the results too, correct?
Correct.
So our next meeting time will be hybrid March the 11th, 9 a.m. and then June the 10th, 9 a.m., both scheduled until 2. It does say like summarize. I'm not really sure what I summarize. Any final remarks? Is that me or is that from the panel?
That's anyone, and then you'll turn it over to me.
All right, we'll turn it over to you.
All righty. Thank you all. Appreciate your time today. And obviously, As you all have questions, feel free to reach out. Hopefully, everyone has my contact information. If not, I'll be happy to, I'll be emailing out some things in the next couple of days to you, kind of just wrapping things up and letting you all kind of know how things shake out in the end. We do have one more request of you, and I'm going to attempt to put this in chat as well. We do ask, if you don't mind, to complete the exit slip for today's meeting. This is just a quick piece of feedback to kind of give us the opportunity to get some information from you. You don't have to use the your phone to do this. You can use anything you want as far as that's concerned. Give me just a second. My PowerPoint closed out to get you the link. But if you all don't mind, we will do that. And if you want to make a take over with a motion to adjourn, Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
This is Amber Ham, virtual. I will make the motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Alex Wright, virtual, I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.